Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All Things Middle-earth here with a video talking about patch 1.0.2. It is officially live in the game, so if you played it all, you may have noticed a few of these things, which I did myself, and then went and even checked and made sure that I was not going crazy. But a new patch was put out, and there are some very, very, very good quality of life things I want to talk about with you guys. So stay tuned. That's all coming up in just 1 second. Now, I'll put some game footage on the screen when applicable to these things, because some of these things are best kind of visually shown, but I want to talk through these. And again, I'd love to hear what you guys think, but I'm very, very happy with them. The first one has to do with statue repair and recipe fragment. It says many players reported that repairing statues gave them coins instead of a recipe, sometimes even preventing them from progressing. The cause of this is now fixed. Now, I thought the coins just kind of told you that, there were no more recipes in this area, but it sounds like there was actually a bug happening that prevented you. And this, I think, might have happened in our world I'm in right now, our kind of main world, because we never unlocked certain recipes and definitely explored a lot of the areas. So there is a chance that happened to you, but that is now fixed. So it says, if you were affected by this bug, we have rebroken all statues in the world, which kind of sucks, but any previously restored statues will be repairable for free and should immediately start rewarding any missing recipe fragments. So if you are missing things, go ahead and hop in, explore a little bit, and you should see broken statues again, fix them for free, and you should get those recipes. It also has changed. Instead of getting 1 gold or 10 gold, what it was, you actually get coal and iron now, which honestly is a lot more helpful than, a small amount of gold like that. So I'm fine with all that. But again, something I didn't really realize was a bug that may have been affecting more of this than I realized. And, players were just kind of exploring endlessly for recipes that weren't actually going to pop. So if you were having issues with recipes, that should be fixed now. Next up, it says improve load times and fast traveling between locations in the world, especially very large locations like the drain pumps. We say improve because it will get better in the next update. So they're just continuing to improve the load times, which again, nobody likes waiting on load screens, so that's a good thing. Next up, it says fixed issues with the meal table, bellows, and other crafting stations that failed to register in multiplayer games. Again, almost all the issues that I had, or at least heard about, had to do with multiplayer kind of game sessions. So if you played with friends and had issues with things not quite working, it sounds like they're working on a lot of those things. So that's very, very good. The next two says they fixed an issue with the furnace timer not counting down after sleeping, and fixed issues with furnace not allowing players to collect ingots after sleeping in the same bubble. So again, I've had that issue where you put ore in and it's just not processing correctly, or it looks like it's kind of frozen, whatever it is. They've adjusted that. It fixed the issue with the rune table incorrectly displaying certain text. I've not experienced this, but again, if you've experienced this, it is fixed now. Further work to reduce infinite and long loading dot walls. Again, this sounds like this is more of a long-term project to make sure they really optimize that, but at least they're still aware of it and working on it. Fixed issues where drakes and spiders would not get stuck and not move or attack correctly. This is nice because honestly, it felt pretty like it kind of broke the immersion if you're exploring around and there are 7 spiders just stuck on the ground, kind of crawling towards you, or a drake just kind of stuck on some stairs, whatever it is. So the fact that they're optimizing that to make it a little bit more exciting, I think is very good. The next one says fix to multiplayer connections that disconnected all players at once. That was a fun Friday night. I like how they kind of have like little side note comments in here. But again, they fixed whatever issue was causing the kind of mass disconnect the last Friday night, and at least 7 known crashes were resolved. Next up, it says they drastically reduced the number of enemy patrols, especially at night. Again, it did feel a little obnoxious sometimes how often enemy patrols would come by. You couldn't even like craft a few things without another patrol coming by and trying to attack you. So I'm happy with that being reduced a little bit. This one is really, really cool. It says increase rewards for fighting enemies, including a rare black diamond drop on orcs and urks, plus guaranteed black diamond drops from trolls and nameless beasts. Again, I've fought both of those things, and it's very unrewarding to kill a nameless beast, for example, and get a little bit of meat and hide. At least a black diamond to make those fights a little bit more worth it, especially early on. If you take out a troll, that black diamond could be the one you need to help progress through the story. So very happy to see that fighting the bigger bosses actually rewards a little bit more. Reduce the average difficulty of enemy encounters in Westgate. Again, I think just earlier game, making sure it's a little bit more friendly if people are just figuring out what to do, which again, I didn't find it horribly difficult, but if it helps players have a better experience in the first couple hours to get into it, I think that's fine. They've reduced the number of wolves in the Elven Quarter. Again, something that just kind of kept happening a ridiculous amount, was just the amount of kind of wolf patrols that would come by and try and attack you. It just got kind of old, so that's very good to see. This one is huge if you've played a lot as well. It says nerf the penalties for fast travel, including reduced energy and hunger cost. Added a short window to fast travel, again without penalty, a do-over, and now buffs from meals, well-fed, full, stuffed, will negate the cost of fast travel. So if you've traveled around and just every time you travel, you're completely starving and all that kind of stuff, or maybe you travel to the wrong area, so you just kind of waste all your hunger bar because you went to the wrong place, there's like a do-over kind of window now. So very, very nice quality of life thing there for traveling around, which again, you wouldn't really know if you've not played a lot, but if you've played, I guarantee you'll like that update. This one says increase the prevalence of scale drops, including from drakes and rarely the gash orcs. Additionally, the scale cost for the Shazak, however you say the dragon spear you got to make at the end, it has been reduced. So if you, towards the end of your game, were trying to hunt down fell beasts basically to get the scales for the spear, that will be a lot easier. Again, we ended up doing it in our first playthrough, which kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, I'm glad to know that anybody else playing or in my future playthroughs, we won't have to worry about grinding as much for those. Now, this is probably so far been the grindiest part of the entire game, and it says increase the drop rates of Gundabad slag from Gundabad orcs while also reducing the amount needed to smelt Durnil iron ingots. Now, again, these are needed to craft Durin's armor. If you craft the full armor and shield, it is an achievement in the game, and it is, in my opinion, the best armor in the game because it reduces how long you're affected by the shadow when you're in it, and you can be in shadow for longer without being affected by the shadow sickness. So having this armor, again, we grinded for several hours in the kind of Gundabad orc encampment to get these, and it was very, very obnoxious. So like, this is a huge thing that I think it's cool that it's kind of grindy for the armor, but it was a little bit over the top. So very, very happy to see that. This one says the torch, Zarok torch, which is the masterwork item, and the miner's helmet now prevent despair at night by dispelling the in darkness debuff. Notes, despair will still occur in the darkest deeps and when touching the shadow regardless. So, which kind of makes sense. If you're in darkness and you're holding a torch, you feel like that would help a little bit. I would honestly like if maybe just like the masterwork item did this, so there was more value in that. But honestly, just the fact that they've added more ways to get out of darkness, so you don't have to rush home, is really nice. Next one says deep orc camps now populate with the correct number of enemies. Honestly, don't know if there was too many or too few, but that is corrected. This one, again, kind of a bug, one of the ones that helps players out, so it is fixed. It says fix issue where singing would stop stamina draining from all activities instead of just mining. So if you got the ore frenzy, you could do a lot more things, not related to mining, which again is not how it's meant to be. So it is what it is. Next up, legendary forges no longer have fuel requirements, which is also very, very nice. The last thing you want to do when you're traveling to a legendary forge is remember to bring coal with you or whatever to fuel it. So I think that's a very nice touch for the legendary forges. Next one says player health when respawning from death increases to 100%, and players when revived by friends are increased to 40%. So again, just kind of better health levels if you are revived or if you respawn. Next one says slight decrease in HP restored by rations, primarily cram. I don't like this one, but hopefully it's very, very minor. Again, I've not had a whole lot of cram, so if that's the only one affected, that's probably fine, but they have decreased the HP restore by just a little bit. This one surprised me too when I started playing. It said a set of wooden stairs was added to the initial building set. Now, I don't think I was on stream, but I literally have footage of it somewhere where yesterday I was playing and I was thinking, why is there not some kind of wooden stair you can build earlier in the game before you have access to things like granite? And sure enough, in the next day, in the next patch, they have added a wooden stair, which again just makes traversing multiple levels a lot easier if you're making a base and want to organize things. Another huge help that was kind of grindy, there is a rune you can put on different axes that give all trees a chance to drop ironwood, and it was very, very hit or miss. Again, I feel like it was like 1 in 5 or 6 for me. I don't know what the actual odds were, but the ironwood drop rates have been increased. So if you're needing ironwood, you can go farm trees anywhere, and hopefully it's much more like every other or something like that, or at least when it does, you get more than one. But again, very, very nice to see the kind of grindy things reduce a little bit. All right, art and audio, there are 2 things here we're going to highlight. We're going to kind of wrap this up because it's going on a little bit here, but 2 huge things: reduce wing flap volume by flying creatures. Again, if you've been around fell beasts or bats, the wing flapping noise is obnoxious. And the most obnoxious thing that I am so glad they fixed, reduced specific orc screaming audio events. So again, they even say most players know this one. If you've played and had those little goblins around that are literally screaming like sounds like a fake crying baby, it's so annoying that I've turned the voice off at times to not have to hear it. So I did fix that, thank God. Now for the fight at the drain pumps, which is the Watcher in the water, it says a fixed issue where client could not see at enemy's damage state, as well as during the fight, peers are much more vulnerable to destruction. So watch where you're standing. Apparently you can build the peers and fight him. I just fought the Watcher without going onto the water at all. But if you're making peers to go out there and the Watcher's still alive, be careful because he could knock you off. There are also some improvements to the final boss fight, improving the story path before and after, as well as lip sync improvements during the conversation with her. Again, the whole thing was underwhelming, so at least seeing kind of the audio and whatever things leading up to it being tweaked is good. I'd like to see the difficulty change and some of those things as well, but hopefully they get to that soon. But again, quality of life wise, I'm happy with that. And last but not least, for those of you who like to play the controller, there have been some more controller support updates. Again, I assume once this officially comes out on console, there'll be even more kind of adjustments, like having, a slider to control your sensitivity or whatever it is. So hopefully we get more things like that, but they are working on controller fixes. But that is going to do it for this one. Again, I'm just seriously very happy to continue seeing these updates roll out every couple of days. And again, you played through, I played for 100+ hours now, so things that were really grinding or annoying, at least knowing they're fixed for future players or for myself or future playthroughs, is very reassuring that they care about the game. They want it to be a good experience. So I'm happy with the communication and the updates thus far. Let me know what you guys think. What things still need addressed that haven't been worked on yet? I know there are several that I can think of, but again, at least it's moving in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think. And as always, I'll see you in a future video.